The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called within 6 hours of the last communication with Earth. The Great Assembly Hall, normally a place of calm deliberation, buzzed with panicked chatter in 17 different languages. Representatives who had observed the human pet demonstrations sat in obvious distress, while those who had only heard second-hand reports demanded proof of what they considered impossible claims. High Counselor Zephyros stood at the central podium, his crystalline form now spiderwebbed with stress fractures that caught the light like broken glass. Around him, the tiered seating held delegates from across known space, their various forms of body language all conveying the same emotion: fear. "Fellow beings of the Council," Zephyros began, his voice carrying harmonics of deep distress, "we face an unprecedented situation. The species known as humans, recently admitted to our diplomatic ranks, have revealed behavioral patterns that challenge everything we understand about intelligent life." In the Earth delegation section, Ambassador Hyun-Soo sat with Dr. Sora and Captain Taemin, all three looking confused by the sudden formality and obvious tension in the room. "What's going on?" Sora whispered to Hyun-Soo. "Why does everyone look so worried?" Council Military Advisor Kethmar, a being that looked like a cross between a praying mantis and a suit of armor, approached the podium with a data pad that trembled in his grip. "Honored Council, I have completed a preliminary analysis of the human companion creature phenomenon. The results are disturbing." A holographic display materialized above the assembly, showing images captured from the Earth communications. Thunder the German Shepherd appeared first, his powerful frame filling the display. "This creature," Kethmar announced, "weighs approximately 35 kilograms and possesses jaw strength capable of crushing bone. Its species was originally bred for warfare and has maintained predatory instincts despite domestication claims." Murmurs of alarm rippled through the assembly. A delegate from the peaceful Zephyrian collective stood up, their flower-like head trembling. "Surely this is an isolated case of extreme behavior." The hologram changed to show Jade the Python. This specimen measures 3.7 meters in length and possesses the capability to constrict prey items larger than itself until death occurs. The human allowed it to encircle his neck and torso while expressing affection. Several delegates from species that feared constriction immediately left the chamber. "It gets worse," Kethmar continued, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "The wolf hybrid demonstrates pack-hunting behaviors. The bears could easily kill multiple beings, and the crocodilian represents one of the most successful predatory designs in biological history." General Thaxon rose from his seat, his armor plates clanking. "Honored Council, my species has fought wars across 3 systems. We pride ourselves on courage in battle. But what we witnessed yesterday, no Kron warrior would willingly share living space with such creatures. That's the most disturbing part," added Chief Scientist Luminox of the Velthari, his crystalline form pulsing with agitated orange light. "The humans don't simply coexist with these predators, they form emotional bonds. They use terms of endearment, provide comfort when the creatures are distressed, and actively seek physical contact." The hologram changed again, showing Haiwan surrounded by her rescued predators. "This human female has voluntarily surrounded herself with species that could each kill her individually. When questioned about safety, she expressed confusion at our concern." Ambassador Hyun-Soo finally stood up, raising his hand for attention. "Excuse me, but I think there's been some misunderstanding. Our companion animals aren't dangerous to us. They're domesticated, trained, and beloved members of our families." The chamber fell completely silent. The concept of family bonds with apex predators was apparently too alien for immediate response. Dr. Luminox managed to speak first. "You consider these predators to be family members?" "Of course," Sora said, standing beside Hyun-Soo. "They depend on us, we care for them, we love them unconditionally. How is that different from any family relationship?" "Because," General Thaxon said slowly, "family relationships are typically between beings of similar threat levels and intelligence. What you describe is unprecedented." Researcher Quilex, who had been one of the first to witness the Earth communications, spoke up from his seat. "The implications are staggering. If humans can form pack bonds with apex predators, what prevents them from attempting the same with us?" A cold silence spread through the chamber as this possibility sank in. The idea that humans might view other species as potential pets sent ripples of terror through delegates who had assumed their intelligence would protect them from such treatment. "That's ridiculous," Captain Taman said, but his voice lacked conviction as he saw the fear in alien faces around him. "We respect all intelligent life. We would never—" "But you also respect unintelligent life," Kethamar interrupted. "Your bonding behavior appears to be based not on intelligence but on— what, emotional connection? Protective instincts? The ability to inspire affection?" Before the humans could respond, a communication alert chimed through the chamber. A technician announced, "Incoming priority message from Earth Space Command. A transport vessel is requesting docking permission. They report carrying comfort animals for diplomatic personnel." The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Delegates began fleeing the chamber as the reality hit them. More of these creatures were coming to the station. Whatever diplomatic breakthrough humanity represented was now overshadowed by the terror of sharing space with beings who considered apex predators to be emotional support systems. High Counselor Zephyros tried to maintain order. "Please, fellow beings, we must approach this rationally. The humans have shown no aggressive behavior. Perhaps their unusual bonding capabilities could be seen as an asset rather than a threat." "An asset?" The delegate from the crystalline hegemony's voice cracked like breaking glass. "They form emotional bonds with creatures that view other beings as prey items. What happens when they decide we would make good? Pets?" Dr. Sora looked genuinely hurt. "We would never do that. We only form those bonds with creatures that can't take care of themselves, that benefit from our protection and care." The chamber fell silent again as delegates processed this. The unspoken question hung in the air. What would happen if humans perceived other species as needing protection? "Furthermore," Sora continued innocently, "the bond has to be mutual. Our animals choose to stay with us because they want to. We don't force relationships. Choose to stay?" Kalix's voice was barely audible. "You're saying these apex predators prefer your company to their natural habitat?" "Well, yes," Sora said, as if this were obvious. "They get food, medical care, affection, and purpose. In return, they provide companionship, protection, and loyalty. It's a mutually beneficial relationship." General Thaxon's armor plates rattled as a thought occurred to him. "This human," he said, pointing at Sora, "mentioned that her security chief has a daughter who recently acquired her first companion creature." Captain Taman nodded proudly. "Subin just turned 12. She's been wanting a pet for years. We finally let her adopt a rescue puppy from the shelter." "A 12-year-old human has been given custody of a predator?" Luminox asked in horror. "She's very responsible," Taman defended. "And it's just a pit bull puppy. They're known for being good with children." The phrase pit bull caused the translation systems to work over time, eventually settling on combat-bred canine with enhanced jaw strength and pain tolerance. This information caused the remaining delegates to stare at the humans with a mixture of awe and terror. "You give predators to your young as learning experiences?" Zephyros asked weakly. "It teaches responsibility and empathy," Hunsu explained. "Caring for another living being is one of the most important skills we can pass on to the next generation." As if summoned by their conversation, Taman's communication device chimed with an incoming personal message. His face lit up as he read it. "Oh, wonderful." Subin sent pictures of her first training session with the puppy. "Would you like to see?" The question was met with the sound of several dozen alien species simultaneously having nervous breakdowns, and the emergency session was declared closed due to lack of conscious delegates. The next day brought a larger gathering in the communication center. Word had spread through Station Omega-7 about the previous day's shocking revelation, and representatives from a dozen species had requested permission to observe. The humans, still blissfully unaware of the panic they had caused, were happy to arrange more calls home. "I thought you might like to meet some other pet owners," Dr. Sora said brightly as she prepared the first connection. "My colleague Dong Hyun is a marine biologist. He has some really interesting companions." High Counselor Zephyros had reinforced his crystalline structure overnight, but stress fractures were still visible along his surface. "We are prepared to observe more of your species' companion relationships." The screen came to life, showing what appeared to be a laboratory filled with large glass tanks. A cheerful man in his 30s appeared, wearing a lab coat and safety glasses. "Sora, how's space treating you?" Dong Hyun waved, then gestured to the tanks behind him. "The kids are doing great. Want to meet them?" "The kids?" Researcher Quilex whimpered. That's what I call them, Donghyun explained, moving to the first tank. This is Einstein, he's incredibly smart. Watch this. He opened a puzzle box and dropped it into the tank. Immediately, 8 muscular arms erupted from a hiding spot wrapping around the box. The creature, clearly an octopus, began manipulating the puzzle with startling intelligence, its tentacles working in perfect coordination. Magnificent creature, Donghyun said proudly. Giant Pacific octopus. Einstein can solve problems faster than some humans I know. And each arm has its own brain, so he can multitask like nobody's business. The aliens watched in horror as tentacles covered in powerful suckers manipulated objects with precision. General Thaxon's armor plates clicked rapidly. That creature could strangle multiple beings simultaneously. Einstein's too smart for violence, Donghyun laughed, apparently mishearing. Though he did escape once and rearranged my entire lab. I found him in the kitchen trying to open jars. He's got such personality. Personality? Zephyros repeated faintly. Oh yes, each one is different. Socrates here is shy but curious. Donghyun moved to another tank where a smaller octopus was building what looked like a fortress from rocks and shells. And Aristotle is the escape artist. I have to keep his tank locked because he figured out how to open it from the inside. The communication center fell silent as the implications sank in. These creatures were not only dangerous but intelligent enough to escape containment, and the human was proud of this fact. How do you prevent them from asserting dominance? General Thaxon asked carefully. Donghyun looked confused. Dominance? They're not aggressive. Well, not with me anyway. We have a relationship built on trust and respect. I provide food and enrichment, they provide companionship and endless fascination. The call ended, and Sora immediately started another connection. Now you'll love meeting Heywan. She runs a rescue sanctuary. The screen showed a woman sitting in what looked like a massive enclosure. Behind her, shapes moved in the shadows, large shapes. Sora, how's the space program? Heywan grinned, then looked directly at the camera. And hello to our alien friends. I heard you wanted to learn about our animals. We are learning much, Zephyros managed. Wonderful. Let me introduce some of my babies. Heywan stood and whistled sharply. The response was immediate and terrifying. A massive brown bear emerged from the trees, followed by 2 wolves, a mountain lion, and what appeared to be a lynx. They all moved toward Heywan with obvious familiarity, and she greeted each one with scratches and pets. This is Bruno, she said, hugging the bear around the neck. He was orphaned as a cub. And these are the wolf pack, Silver, Moon, and Shadow. The mountain lion is Whisper, and the lynx is Freckles. 6 of the observing aliens fainted simultaneously. The human is surrounded by apex predators, General Thaxon whispered, and they are not attacking. Why would they attack? Heywan asked, apparently hearing him. I raised most of these from babies. They trust me completely. Watch, Bruno, sit. The massive bear sat like an enormous dog. Good boy. Want a treat? She produced what looked like a fish and tossed it to the bear, who caught it midair and consumed it happily. She commands apex predators with food rewards, Quilex said, his voice shaking. It's not commanding, Heywan corrected gently. It's communication. Each species has its own language. You just have to learn how to speak it. The next call connected to a suburban home where a couple sat surrounded by enormous dogs. These are our gentle giants, Woojin explained as Great Danes the size of small horses lounged around him and his wife Jiun. This is Titan, Goliath, and Atlas. They think they're lapdogs. As if to prove his point, one of the massive dogs tried to climb onto Jiun's lap, nearly crushing her. She laughed and pushed his huge head away playfully. Gentle giants, General Thaxon repeated in disbelief, watching creatures that could easily knock down a human with a casual movement. They're actually quite lazy, Jiun added. They sleep about 18 hours a day. The biggest challenge is keeping them from stealing food off the counters. They're tall enough to reach anything. The final call was the breaking point. Kyung-soo appeared on screen in what looked like a room from an alien nightmare. Terrariums lined every wall containing creatures that made the previous animals look tame by comparison. Welcome to my zoo, Kyung-soo said cheerfully. This is Godzilla, my monitor lizard. He's about 6 feet long and incredibly intelligent. A massive reptile with claws like razors and teeth like needles looked directly at the camera with ancient, calculating eyes. And this beautiful lady is Charlotte, Kyung-soo continued, reaching into another terrarium and allowing a tarantula the size of a dinner plate to walk onto his hand. She's a Chilean rosehair, very docile and easy to care for. The spider's fuzzy legs moved delicately across his palm as he held it up to the camera. Several aliens made choking sounds. But my pride and joy is Bubbles, Kyung-soo said, moving to a large pool in the corner of the room. She's a saltwater crocodile about 8 feet long now. Aren't you, sweetheart? He reached into the water and scratched the head of a prehistoric killing machine like it was a pet cat. The crocodile's eyes closed in what appeared to be contentment. The human is manually stimulating a crocodilian's pleasure responses, Zephyros said, his voice now completely flat. This defies all logic. Bubbles loves attention, Kyung-soo said proudly. She's got such personality. When I come home from work, she actually swims over to greet me. It's the sweetest thing. When the calls ended, the communication center was filled with the sound of alien species having various forms of mental breakdowns. The Velthari were changing colors rapidly. The Kron were making grinding sounds with their armor plates, and the smaller species were huddled together in corners. Dr. Sora looked around in confusion. Is everyone okay? You all seem upset. Your species, High Counselor Zephyros said slowly, domesticates apex predators as a form of entertainment. Entertainment? Sora looked genuinely puzzled. No, they're family. They provide companionship, love, and purpose. Taking care of another living being teaches responsibility and empathy. But they could kill you, Quilex whispered. So could cars, or lightning, or a dozen other things. Sora replied practically. Life has risks. The joy they bring far outweighs any danger. Captain Taemin chose that moment to enter the communication center. Hey Sora, I just got a message from Earth. The International Space Agency wants to send up a care package. Something about comfort animals to help with homesickness. The remaining conscious aliens stared at him in horror. They're sending more? General Thaxon asked weakly. Just some therapy animals, Taemin said casually. You know, emotional support companions to help us adjust to being away from home. As understanding dawned on the alien observers that this was not only normal behavior for humans but so common, that they had official support systems for it, the last of their preconceptions about Deathworld species crumbled completely. High Counselor Zephyros managed one final question before his voice failed entirely. How many of these therapy creatures are coming? The communication center of Station Omega-7 buzzed with activity as technicians from 6 different species worked to establish a clear connection to Earth. Dr. Sora sat in the center chair, practically bouncing with excitement as she waited for the call to connect. Around her, the alien delegation had arranged themselves in a careful semicircle, their various recording devices focused on the main screen. Connection established, announced the station's computer in its neutral tone. The screen flickered to life, showing a comfortable human living room with warm lighting and soft furniture. A man with kind eyes and a gentle smile appeared on screen, waving enthusiastically. Sora, how's my brilliant wife doing in space? Jinwoo's voice came through clearly, making Sora's face light up with joy. Jinwoo, I miss you so much. I have some new friends here who want to meet our babies. Are they around? Perfect timing, Jinwoo grinned. I just got back from the park with Thunder, and the other 2 are being lazy in the living room. Let me get them. High Counselor Zephyros leaned forward slightly, his crystalline form catching the screen's light. We are most eager to observe your peaceful companion creatures. Your wife has told us they bring great comfort to your family. Oh, they're amazing, Jinwoo agreed. Each one has such a unique personality. Let me introduce you to Thunder first. Thunder, come here, boy. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the communication center. The aliens waited expectantly for a small, gentle creature to appear. Instead, a massive shape bounded into view, a German shepherd that looked like it could take down a grown human without effort. The dog's tongue lolled out as it panted, and its powerful muscles moved under thick fur. The silence in the communication center was deafening. This is Thunder, Jinwoo said proudly, scratching behind the enormous dog's ears. He's my best buddy, aren't you, boy? Say hello to Mommy, Thunder barked once, a deep sound that made several of the smaller aliens jump. His tail wagged furiously as he stared at the screen, clearly recognizing Sora's voice. Hi, baby boy, Sora cooed at the screen. I miss you so much. Are you being good for Daddy? Good boy? Researcher Quilex whispered, his fur standing completely on end now. That creature could easily overpower a human. Thunder's wonderful with people, Jinwoo explained, apparently not hearing the alien's comment. He's protective but gentle. Great with kids, too. Watch this, Thunder, sit. The massive dog immediately sat, his intelligent eyes focused completely on Jinwoo. Good boy. Now shake. Thunder lifted one huge paw which Jinwoo grasped and shook like a handshake. The alien delegate stared in shocked silence as this obviously dangerous predator performed tricks on command. Remarkable, General Thaxon rumbled. The creature responds to verbal commands from a being it could easily kill. Kill? Jinwoo looked confused. Thunder wouldn't hurt a fly. Well, maybe a fly, but not a person. He's been trained since he was a puppy. Now let me show you Jade. Before any of the aliens could process what trained since he was a puppy might mean, Jinwoo walked to a large glass container in the corner. He opened the top and reached inside, pulling out what looked like a rope that kept moving. This is Jade, Jinwoo said casually, as a massive snake draped itself around his shoulders like a living scarf. She's a Burmese python about 12 feet long. Isn't she beautiful? Two of the smaller aliens fainted on the spot. The human is wearing a constrictor, Zephyros said faintly, his light patterns now pulsing a deep red, a creature capable of crushing bones. Jade's very calm, Sora explained from space, apparently not noticing the growing panic around her. She likes warm places, so she often wraps around Jinwoo when he's watching television. She's incredibly smart too. She knows when it's feeding time. Feeding time? Quilex squeaked. Oh yes, Jinwoo smiled, gently stroking the python's head. Jade's tongue flicked out, tasting the air. She eats rats. Used to be rabbits, but we switched to rats because they're easier to store in the freezer. The translation devices were working overtime now, buzzing and clicking as they tried to process terms like freezer storage of prey animals and voluntary constrictor contact. She hunts in your dwelling? General Thaxon asked, his armor plates rattling with what might have been fear or confusion. No, Jinwoo laughed. She's domesticated. We buy pre-killed frozen rats from the pet store. She doesn't need to hunt anymore. Though sometimes she still has the instinct, don't you, Jade? As if responding to her name, the python's head turned toward the camera, her unblinking eyes seeming to stare directly at the alien observers. Several more aliens backed away from the screen. Now where's our wild child? Jinwoo said, looking around. Storm, come meet Mommy's friends. A howl echoed from somewhere in the house, making every alien in the room freeze. It was a sound that spoke of wilderness, of pack hunts under moonlight, of ancient predators that ruled the night. That sound, Zephyros whispered. What manner of creature makes such a sound? A gray and white shape leaped into view, landing on the couch next to Jinwoo. It looked like a wolf because it mostly was. Storm's yellow eyes gleamed with intelligence as he surveyed the room, his ears perked forward alertly. This is Storm, Jinwoo said, ruffling the wolf hybrid's thick fur. He's part wolf, part domestic dog. Rescued him as a pup. He's got a bit of a wild streak, but he's incredibly loyal. Storm's head tilted as he heard Sora's voice from the speakers. He let out a soft whine, then began to pace on the couch, clearly agitated at hearing his human but not being able to see her. It's okay, Storm, Jinwoo soothed. Mommy will be home soon. The wolf hybrid settled but continued to stare at the screen with unnerving intensity. His lips pulled back slightly, not in aggression but in what humans would recognize as a grin, revealing impressive canine teeth. The human addresses apex predators as family members, General Thaxon said slowly, and they respond with what appears to be affection? They love Daddy so much, Sora confirmed. Jinwoo, show them how Storm says hello. Storm, say hi to Mommy. The wolf hybrid threw back his head and howled again, a sound that echoed through the space station's communication center. This time, Thunder joined in with his own deep bark, and even Jade seemed to shift slightly, her tongue flicking more rapidly. The cacophony of predator sounds in a human living room was too much for several more aliens, who excused themselves hastily from the room. Those who remained stared in fascination and horror as Jinwoo calmly petted all three creatures, completely unbothered by their display. That's so sweet, Sora said, wiping tears from her eyes. I miss them so much. We miss you too, honey, Jinwoo replied. Oh, before I forget, Minho and Yejin wanted me to tell you that their new additions are settling in well. They're so excited to introduce them to you when you get back. New additions? Zephyros asked weakly. Our neighbors, Sora explained happily. They rescue animals too. They've got quite a collection now, much more diverse than ours. Wait until you see what they've managed to rehabilitate. The remaining aliens looked at each other with growing horror as the implications became clear. These weren't isolated incidents. These weren't unique specimens. Humans across their entire planet were voluntarily living with apex predators and calling it normal. How many humans engage in this companion creature practice? Quilex asked, his voice barely audible. Oh, most families have at least one pet, Sora said cheerfully. Some people prefer cats, others like dogs, some want more exotic animals. It's really just a matter of personal preference and living situation. As the call ended and the screen went dark, the communication center fell completely silent, except for the quiet humming of machinery. The remaining aliens stared at the blank screen, trying to process what they had just witnessed. High Counselor Zephyros was the first to speak, his voice hollow with shock. We need to see more. We need to understand the full scope of this phenomenon. The massive space station hung in the void like a crystal flower made of metal and light. Galactic Council Station Omega-7 was the pride of civilized space, home to dozens of alien species who had achieved peace through careful diplomacy and mutual respect. Today it would host its newest members, the humans from Earth. Ambassador Hyunsu checked his uniform one last time as their small shuttle approached the docking bay. He was a calm man in his 50s with graying hair and kind eyes that had seen many difficult negotiations on Earth. Beside him sat Dr. Sora, a brilliant woman who studied alien life forms. She kept fidgeting with her tablet, clearly excited about meeting real aliens for the first time. Remember, said Taemin from the pilot's seat, we're representing all of humanity today. These aliens think we're primitive because Earth is dangerous. Let's show them we're more than just survivors. Sora laughed softly. I still can't believe I'm here. I've been dreaming about this since I was a child. I just wish my pets could see this. The shuttle docked with a gentle bump. Through the airlock came a sound like wind chimes mixed with grinding stones. The translation devices in their ears buzzed to life as alien voices became understandable words. Welcome, representatives of Earth, came a voice that sounded like music played on crystal. High Counselor Zephyros stepped forward, his body made of what looked like living diamond that caught and reflected light in rainbow patterns. Behind him stood General Thaxon of the Crone, a creature that looked like a cross between a lizard and a tank, covered in natural armor plates. We are honored to be here, Hyunsu replied, bowing slightly. I am Ambassador Hyunsu. This is Dr. Sora, our xenobiologist, and Captain Taemin. Zephyros's crystalline form shifted, creating new patterns of light. Yes, we have read your files. Your species comes from what we classify as a Class Loi's death world. Such harsh conditions must have been difficult to survive. Earth can be challenging, Sora agreed, but it's also beautiful. We've learned to live with our environment rather than fight it. A smaller alien covered in what looked like blue fur stepped forward. I am researcher Quilex of the Vanthi. Your planet's data is fascinating. Constant volcanic activity, extreme weather patterns, and predatory life forms everywhere. How does your species find peace in such chaos? Sora's eyes lit up. Oh, we don't see it as chaos. Every creature has its place. Even the ones that seem dangerous can become part of your family if you understand them. The aliens exchanged glances. General Thaxon's armor plates shifted with what might have been confusion. Your family includes dangerous creatures? Well, not family exactly, Sora laughed. I mean our pets. My husband Jinwoo and I have 3 back home, and I miss them terribly. The word pets made the translation devices buzz and click. Quilex tilted his furry head. The translation suggests domesticated companion creatures. This is common among civilized species. Small, peaceful animals that provide emotional comfort. Exactly, Sora beamed. Though I suppose our definition of small might be different. High Counselor Zephyros's light patterns shifted to what looked like interest. We would be honored to learn more about your companion creatures. Understanding your culture is essential for proper diplomatic relations. I'd love to show you, Sora said eagerly. Jinwoo would be so excited to introduce them. They're wonderful. Thunder is so protective, and Jade is incredibly calm and intelligent. Storm can be a bit wild, but he's really just playful. The aliens nodded politely, though some of the smaller species seemed to relax at hearing about calm, peaceful creatures. Researcher Quilex made notes on a device that looked like a glowing leaf. Perhaps, Zephyros suggested, we could arrange a cultural exchange. Your people could show us these companion creatures, and we could share our own customs. Building understanding between species is the foundation of galactic peace. Captain Taymin nodded. That sounds perfect. Earth loves showing off our animals. I think you'll be impressed by how well we get along with other species. Other species? General Thaxon's voice rumbled like distant thunder. You mean multiple types of companion creatures? Oh yes, Sora said happily. Humans have been making friends with different animals for thousands of years. It's one of our greatest achievements, really. Learning to communicate with and care for creatures that are completely different from us. The alien delegation exchanged more glances. Some seemed confused, others intrigued. A tall, thin alien with 4 arms and pale green skin spoke up. This is unusual. Most species find one compatible companion type and maintain that relationship. You suggest humans bond with multiple different creatures? Absolutely, Hyunsu confirmed. Diversity makes us stronger. Different animals bring different gifts to our lives. Some are loyal guardians. Others are skilled hunters. Some are incredibly intelligent problem solvers. The word hunters caused another round of buzzing from the translation devices. Quilex's blue fur seemed to stand on end slightly. Hunters? Zephyros asked, his crystal form dimming slightly. Your companion creatures? Hunt? Sora laughed. Well, they used to. That's their natural behavior. But now they're domesticated, so they hunt toys and treats instead of wild prey, though some still have the instinct. Instinct for hunting, General Thaxon repeated slowly. But they live in your homes? Of course. Where else would they live? They're part of the family. Jinwoo always says our house isn't a home without them running around, making noise and demanding attention. The aliens fell silent. Some of the smaller ones had started backing away slightly. Researcher Quilex was typing rapidly on his device, while Zephyros's light patterns had shifted to what looked like deep orange, possibly indicating concern. This is remarkable, Zephyros said finally. Your species cohabits with creatures that retain predatory instincts? They're not predators to us, Sora explained patiently. They're family. Yes, they're strong and capable, but they would never hurt us. The bond between humans and our companion animals is built on trust, love, and mutual respect. The silence stretched longer this time. Finally, High Counselor Zephyros spoke, his voice carrying a note of something that might have been awe or horror. We must see this for ourselves. Could you arrange for us to observe these remarkable creatures? Perhaps through your communication systems? Absolutely. Sora clapped her hands together. Jinwoo will be so excited to show them off. They love meeting new people. Well, I suppose you'll be new aliens to them, but I'm sure they'll be curious and friendly. As the group moved toward the station's communication center, none of the humans noticed the way the alien delegates moved a little faster, or how their various forms of body language all seemed to suggest the same thing. They were about to witness something that would change everything they thought they knew about the species from Earth. The Earth transport ship arrived at Station Omega-7 3 days after the emergency council session. Docking at Bay 7, while most of the alien population watched nervously from observation decks. Captain Sung-ho emerged from the vessel with the casual confidence of someone who had no idea he was about to trigger the second largest diplomatic crisis in galactic history. Delivery for the human diplomatic team, he announced cheerfully to the loading crew, which consisted entirely of mechanical drones. After all, biological personnel had refused the assignment. Got some friends from home to help with the homesickness. Dr. Sora practically bounced with excitement as she, Ambassador Hyunsu, and Captain Taemin made their way to the docking bay. Behind them, at what they considered a safe distance, a small group of alien observers followed. High Counselor Zephyros had managed to repair most of his stress fractures, but new ones appeared with each step toward the cargo hold. I can't wait to see who they sent, Sora said happily. I hope they remembered that I specifically requested a dog. Being away from Thunder and the others has been harder than I expected. What exactly did Earth send? Zephyros asked, his voice carrying harmonics of barely controlled panic. Captain Sung-ho consulted his cargo manifest. Let's see. We've got 3 therapy dogs, 2 emotional support cats, 1 emotional support pig. a bearded dragon for stress relief, and he paused, checking his list again. Oh yes, a comfort bird. Some kind of parrot, I think. The alien observers exchanged glances filled with dread. After the revelations of the past few days, they had learned to fear any creature humans described with gentle terms. Therapy animals, General Thaxon repeated slowly. These are creatures specifically selected for their calming properties? Exactly, Sora beamed. Earth has been using animal-assisted therapy for decades. The bond between humans and animals has incredible healing power for both physical and emotional conditions. The cargo bay doors opened with a hiss, and the first therapy animal emerged. It was a golden retriever named Comet, led by Captain Sung Ho on what appeared to be a simple leash. The dog's tail wagged enthusiastically as it surveyed its new environment, its intelligent eyes taking in everything with obvious curiosity. This is Comet, Sung Ho announced. He's trained in emotional support and basic service tasks. Incredibly smart and gentle with people of all ages. Gentle, researcher Quilex whispered, his blue fur standing on end as he observed the dog's powerful build and impressive teeth. That creature could easily overpower most species represented on this station. Dr. Sora knelt down and held out her hand. Comet immediately trotted over, sniffing her palm before pressing his head against it for pets. Sora's face lit up with joy as she scratched behind his ears. Oh, you're beautiful, she cooed. Are you going to be my buddy while I'm in space? Comet responded by sitting and offering his paw, which Sora shook enthusiastically. The simple interaction sent ripples of amazement through the alien observers. The creature was clearly intelligent enough to understand context and respond appropriately to a completely new environment. The canine demonstrates advanced problem-solving and social adaptation, Zephyros observed with grudging admiration mixed with terror. It has assessed the new situation and modified its behavior accordingly. Dogs are incredibly smart, Sora agreed, still petting Comet. They read body language, vocal tones, even emotional states. Comet can probably tell that you're nervous right now. As if to prove her point, Comet turned his attention to the aliens, his head tilting as he studied their various forms of distressed body language. He took a few steps toward Quilex, who immediately backed away in fear. The predator is approaching, Quilex squeaked. He's being friendly, Sora explained. He senses you're upset and wants to help. That's what therapy animals do. They provide comfort to those who need it. Comet sat down a respectful distance from Quilex and simply waited, his tail still wagging gently. The behavior was so non-threatening and patient that even the terrified alien researcher began to relax slightly. It's not attacking, Quilex observed with surprise. Why would he attack? Captain Taman asked, genuinely confused. Comet's job is to make people feel better, not worse. The next animal to emerge was even more startling to the alien observers. Bora, the station's human maintenance chief who had arrived to help with the unloading, squealed with delight as a large orange cat sauntered out of the transport. Cats, she exclaimed, dropping to her knees as the feline approached. I've missed cats so much. The cat, a Maine Coon named Felix, allowed Bora to pick him up, purring loudly as she cuddled him against her chest. His massive paws and thick fur made him look like a small tiger to the alien observers. This creature makes a mechanical vibration sound, General Thaxon noted with confusion. Is it malfunctioning? That's purring, Bora explained, her face buried in Felix's fur. It means he's happy and relaxed. It's actually been proven to have healing properties. The frequency of cat purrs can help heal bones and reduce stress in humans. The human is allowing a predator to vibrate against her vital organs for medical purposes, Zephyros said faintly. Felix isn't a predator to me, Bora laughed. He's a sweetheart. Watch this. She set the cat down and produced a small toy mouse from her pocket. Felix, want to play? The cat's pupils dilated immediately, his body dropping into a hunting crouch. He stalked the toy mouse with terrifying precision, every movement a perfect display of predatory efficiency. When Bora moved the toy, Felix pounced with lightning speed, capturing it in claws that could easily shred flesh. Magnificent hunting display, General Thaxon admitted grudgingly. He's just playing, Bora said, completely unimpressed by the display of lethal skill. Cats need to exercise their hunting instincts, so we give them toys to stalk instead of real prey. The next revelation came when Captain Sung-ho let out what appeared to be a small pig. This is Hamlet, our emotional support pig. He's particularly good with anxiety and depression. The pig was far larger than the aliens had expected, and his intelligent eyes surveyed the group with obvious curiosity. When he spotted Ambassador Hyun-soo, he trotted over and grunted softly, pressing against the human's legs. Pigs are incredibly smart, Hyun-soo explained, scratching Hamlet's head. Some people say they're smarter than dogs. They're also very empathetic. They can sense when someone is upset and will try to comfort them. The swine creature responds to human emotional states? Luminox asked, his crystalline form flickering with confused light patterns. Animals are much more perceptive than most people realize, Sora said, still playing with Comet. They pick up on subtle cues that even humans miss. The bearded dragon, carried in a specialized terrarium by Captain Sung-ho, proved to be the most philosophical challenge to the alien observers. The reptile, named Sage, seemed content to simply exist, occasionally turning to bask under the heat lamps in his enclosure. Reptiles have a very calming presence, Sung-ho explained. Something about their ancient wisdom and peaceful nature helps people relax and find perspective. Ancient wisdom? Quillex repeated. It's hard to explain, Hyun-soo admitted. There's something about watching a creature that's perfectly content just being alive that helps put human problems in perspective. The final animal was perhaps the most shocking of all. The parrot, a large African gray named Einstein, immediately began chattering in what sounded like perfect human speech. Hello. Hello, pretty bird. Want a cracker? Einstein called out, then launched into what sounded like a conversation with himself in multiple human voices. The avian creature mimics human speech patterns, Zephyros observed in amazement. Einstein does more than mimic, Captain Sung-ho corrected. He actually understands context. He can hold simple conversations and even express preferences. As if to prove the point, Einstein turned his attention to the aliens and tilted his head thoughtfully. New friends? He asked clearly. Pretty crystals. Shiny robot. The fact that the bird could not only speak, but apparently categorize different alien species based on visual observation sent another wave of shock through the observers. It's analyzing and commenting on our physical characteristics, General Thaxton said with something approaching awe. Einstein likes meeting new people, Sora said fondly. Don't you, Einstein? Smart bird. Einstein's smart. Want to learn? The parrot replied enthusiastically. As the day wore on and the aliens observed the humans interacting with their comfort animals, a disturbing pattern became clear. Each creature was not only dangerous but also intelligent, loyal, and genuinely devoted to human welfare. The therapy animals didn't just tolerate human handling, they actively sought it out, seeming to find fulfillment in their role as companions. The final straw came when a child's voice echoed through the communication system during the evening check-in with Earth. Sora's young daughter, Hyun, appeared on screen bouncing with excitement. Mommy, guess what? Daddy says when you come home maybe we can get a space puppy. Can we find an alien that wants to be our pet? The innocent question, asked with all the enthusiasm of a child who had grown up believing that any creature could potentially become family, finally broke what remained of the alien delegates' composure. The idea that humans were already planning to extend their bonding practices to alien species sent them